It's not easy in this acting industry to find somebody with purity and heart. Honestly, like it's the right look and the right age and all that sort of stuff. And we found it in Liam because Liam's got heart in spades. And saved our show at a time where we really needed someone to step into the role. Oh, you're sweet. He says that after the show is finished. Crixus, you're sweet.
That was aptly timed because I'm actually a lymphoma survivor myself, and I wanted to know how you guys dealt with the losing of Andy and Liam. If anything, I know you had to make the character your own, but if anything from Andy's performance, what did you incorporate while making the part for your own self?
Well, of course. I mean, I was extremely fortunate to have two incredible people for source material in Kirk Douglas and Andy Whitfield. I mean, where would you go for better performances of such an iconic character? You know, it's I used to watch season one, and it was very heartbreaking to realize that that was a situation I was going to be put into. But it also gave me a great honor and a great legacy to follow up, and what better way than to look at the season one again and again and again, which you would anyway, and just go, that guy's a genius, and he brings, like I was saying, he brings such a heart and a passion to the character. You know, you want to beat him, you want to follow him. Ladies want to have sex with him. You know, and he's
and men.
And really, why cut that out? There was that one thing. I was like, but yeah, you know, I mean, like, no, but God rest his soul, because I mean that guy was taken before his time, and he's a genius. And I mean, the challenge for me was not to try and copy something that was already, you know, flawless in my opinion, but to try and take the soul that he created of such a fantastic character and original, you know, bring some the bits I can from my life, from my experience, from my acting to it, and try and create something the same but new again, you know, and so you know, it's a little easier when you know you've got such a wonderful fan base to try and make proud, you know, and because I love the show and I didn't want to screw it up. You know, so, well, I did my best. And look, the room's full, so I must have screwed up completely. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your question.
All right, thank you guys for coming, first of all. I've always thought that it's not how a character is introduced, but it's how they go out that really makes you remember them, their legacy. So,
spoiler alert.
Diving off a cliff with an infant. Lucy, how did that come about, and how did you feel about that whole scene?
Well, I didn't know this. I must have known this. I was the only one who knew that that's what she was going to do with Alethea from the very beginning. Once they brought Lucretia back, and I'm one hell of a good at keeping secrets, because Viva and I would be on the set together every day, good buddies, hang out on the weekends. We were doing some B-roll even after we had filmed that. And she and Stephen were saying, yeah, I think Lucretia, you know, when they're in the bath and they've got some communion going on because she's in a bad way and she's in a bad way, and they're really shoring one another up. And I think Lucretia really, really cares for Alethea. And I was like, no, she doesn't. I was like, you're just the incubator. This is when we're watching. When Lucretia lost Fatty Artist, love was over for her. And the only thing left was her to survive long enough to get her child to take to her husband. That was the mission in life, was always to provide a son, and eventually she did. Terrible. Horrible.
Oh, yes. Other than.
One shout out to Lucy Lawless. You were Xena. You were one of the first sci-fi fantasy shows I've ever watched in my whole life. Okay, and my question is for Liam and Manu. Can you tell me what kind of rigorous exercise program, obviously, from your muscles,
Did you say sexercise?
They cut that sex scene, right?
No, exercise.
Gladiator booty camp.
Oh, the booty camp?
No, it was something about the ultimate workout. Wasn't it on Twitter? There's a new Spartacus, the hardest workout ever, or some sort of...
That's Tyrone. That's Tyrone. He's totally milking it. Tyrone, who was like a stunt double, and then he became like the trainer of everybody. He's been out there shopping the Spartacus workout, only because it's very popular and people want to find out what we did do. I think that I think the show might have actually changed the gym culture to some degree, because I think before Spartacus came on, the gym was all about being massive, you know what I mean? And then suddenly, like, Spartacus came on, and these gladiators were more lean and fast moving and getting around, and all of a sudden all that CrossFit stuff started emerging as well. And I think, if you go to any city, there's a gym that's got a Spartacus regime or a Ludus or something, so it's pretty amazing how it kicked off its own fitness genre.
But in summary, the workouts are horrible. If you like, not being in constant pain, if you like, not sleeping in the middle of the day, well, that's actually pretty good. If you like things that aren't just boiled chicken, don't do them. But if you want to look like Manu Bennett, unfortunately you have to do them. But the results are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, but we had a great time, our fitness regime was on set and off set all the time, so we were lucky to be doing a job that was like an athletic program as well,
Actually, it was the boot camp, though, really, as far as like team building and constructing a unit.
And the girls showed up, but to be honest, Ellen Holman, who played Saxa, right?
Yeah.
We did a fitness test that was based upon body weight, and she won. Dragging weights behind her and everything like that, she kicked our asses. Seriously.
We weren't going to tell that story. Okay.
Hey guys, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to Atlanta.
Thanks, man.
Hey, one question. As you know, a lot of us dress up in a costume. If you guys could dress up as a superhero or whoever, what would you dress up as?
Lumpy Space Princess. Oh my God! I'm sorry for you guys.
My hero, Gannicus. Good old Dusty.
I don't think I'd fit into Zach Brannigan's allure. So, either Batman or Wolverine.
Always say Batman.
Liam is truly a nerd.
Yeah.
He's seriously into all the video games and thinks he's the real deal.
Last of Us. What's up?
He plays Xbox, where it's just like this, like at San Diego
It's
Comic.
obviously not like that.
That was the wrong side of the thumb, wasn't it? In San Diego Comic Con, they launched the Spartacus game. And I got put up against him in front of the whole crowd. And Crixus got his ass kicked.
I know you're pretty nerdy, Liam. Can you give Manu a chance? Well, not really. It's against my competitive nature. I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were actually very good. You had a professional video game career, you thought about that?
Hey, it wasn't the real arena.
I know. That's the thing. In the real arena, maybe not so much. This guy, the real arena,
Did any of you know that much about that period of time before you started the show?
You know, we're talking about me being a nerd? Yes.
Period of what? That time of Roman history, before you actually were invited to do the show and got involved.
Oh yeah, I was crazy about my Claudius. As a kid, it would be on really late, and it was pretty wild. So I would stay out late when my parents weren't watching and watch Sean Phillips, who was very informative about the character of Lucretia. Actually, I'm sure that really informed me. and she played the wicked Livia, grandmother to Claudius, who very cool and despicable character.
Yeah, I couldn't find a lot of information on Crixus, other than that he was a Gaul. So at the very beginning of the first season, I was trying to dig stuff up, trying to find ways to relate to this man. And trust me, I mean, I felt very responsible for portraying a man's life, you know, who went through all of that. You know, sometimes you don't really focus on that point, but Crixus was a man who had to fight with his, you know, and shed his blood for this cause. So, you know, I really felt I had to honor him. But in the early days, I got together with the costume designers, and I found out that the symbol for death, you know, the harbinger of death for the Gauls was the crow. So the necklace that I wore, we made especially because it's got two crow heads coming together in the middle here, and that was the idea that Crixus was the harbinger of death in the Gaul kind of figure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of why I was so glad that I got to open War of the Damned on a horse, because the Thracian god was essentially the horseman. So that's like Spartacus coming in trying to do impossible things. So if you look in Spartacus through all of the...
I thought that was a homage to Peter Mensa.
Because he's built like a horse. Oh, see, I'm so naive. I didn't see that scene I don't know whose god that is, though. That's different. Yeah, no, just if you have a look through, like just the crew, like Barbara in costume especially, and all throughout the show, you'll find a lot of little moments of symbology and symbolism and that sort of thing that is extremely true to the time and true to the character. Dustin has a lot of Celtic. His tattoo is it's from Iceland, and I completely forgot what it means. But yeah, there's so much symbolism throughout the show in little ways that is extremely well researched, and for a show that a lot of people dismiss as like, you know, cotton candy sometimes, especially early on, which was so unfair. I feel that people took like a really limited view, and then you sort of dig a little deeper and you're like, this is actually really, really well thought. Being a guy that like it from season one separately.
You know, I mean, that's the texture, you know what I mean? When you guys watch the show and it's got such amazing texture, you know, you flick past the eye, you don't even see it. But you know, all that work that our wardrobe department and our, you know, I mean, the wigs.
Yeah, right.
The wigs and all the hairstyling and that for the period was just,
Yeah,
you know, off the
I
wall.
think it was a really rewarding show to watch on a lot of levels, especially with the writing. You would have some terrible thing occurring, and it would mean one thing to the rich man and the woman who were in the foreground, and something completely different to the slaves, and you knew the ramifications would be even worse for the people downstairs, the gladiators, who were kind of the audience's conscience, or they were kind of us really, weren't they? And so the audience was sort of ahead of the players all the time in a really interesting way.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that, you know, with the history of Spartacus, there isn't a hell of a lot that's known about it. I mean, those guys just kind of like, you know, did their journey, but the geography of it was pretty certain, you know, and the battles, the certain battles that, say, Crixus or you know, Spartacus ended up dying or supposedly dying, you know, there was the end of our show was a big mystery because nobody knew whether they were going to take the version where perhaps Spartacus wasn't dead. I mean, that was played around with for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they briefly toyed with the idea that he would just kind of sort of just go, and I'm like, that's not really the hero's journey to be like, oh, well, this isn't working out, see ya. I'm glad they went, you know, excuse my French, balls to the wall.
But you know, as actors, we were just kind of receiving those scripts and learning the history that Stephen DeKnight was writing and rewriting. And wow, you know, I mean, every time we got a script, it was epic. It was a roller coaster ride. You know,
Like I was 10 again and run to my track and I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah. I don't think as an actor you could have more dramatic scripts than what Stephen DeKnight wrote, because every time you picked one up, you were just shaking your head, going,
Yeah, right.
That's epic.
It's a nice idea.
Hi, first of all, I just want to join everyone and say thank you for coming here. As a complete Spartacus fangirl, this is like my dream.
Super, thank you, and you can call me Lucy.
Thank you, former Domino.
Is that Navia?
Former domino.
Oh, two Navias?
Wow. Two Navias.
Well, Atlanta's my lucky city. Rise up, Atlanta.
It certainly can be your lucky city.
It certainly can be your lucky city.
So, my question
Yeah,
is,
she's got business with me first, sorry.
I'll just sit here then.
I'll just be a moment.
Just wash your hands.
I just really hope there's not a mirror in the audience. Don't bring her a knife.
John, I can't hear you speak. Can you speak closer and louder or something?
Okay, that was just a joke.
Oh.
So my question is for everyone, but really kind of directed to Manu, because there's a lot of talk about the cast changes with Navia being played by another actress, and obviously with Spartacus. And it seems to me, and a lot of people who are fans of the show, I'm sure, that because of how close Crixus was to those two characters, the actors had to rely on you a lot to kind of pull that together and make it as seamless as possible. So I'm curious, what was your approach kind of going into that with your lover and your best friends?
Yes, how did you help them craft their performance?
Well, with all due professionalism. Now, if you take the emotion, let me tell you, Spartacus. Now, the other day, to be honest, if you take the emotions out of it, basically, this is a serious matter. We don't want to be joking on this one. Again, I'll return to the loss of Andy Whitfield. That left a huge pause on the whole planet, and I mean it. I've spoken to people from all over the world about this. That left a big pause, a big emotional pause. When Liam stepped onto the stage as Spartacus, also when Cynthia stepped on as Navia, the world was waiting to see what would happen. Okay, so, I was just really sort of like the eyes of the audience in that situation. All I could do as an actor was continue my job. All the people that were working around us, who were such incredible artists and production people, was to continue their job. Stephen and I just kept on writing the story. Lucy just kept on being electric. John Hannah, he might have been gone at that stage, sorry, but the acting just kept on going. So I didn't do anything on my own at all. I just did it with everybody else, and including the audience, in terms of making that transition happen through a very, very trying emotional time. And at the end of the day, our show salutes Andy, because we proved to even the network who was going to cancel us, the network was going to cancel us. Be quiet, kid. That might be that's Gannicus. I think it all happened the way it was meant to happen, and Spartacus is what it is and what it will always be.
All right, let me tell you what really happened. So I arrived in New Zealand, nervous as hell, for my audition, after like a million auditions in New Zealand, in costume and all that sort of thing. sitting in a trailer, which was extremely foreign and weird to me, because I hadn't really done any of that kind of, quality, real, professional, getting paid for it work before, like the professionals do. And I get a knock at the trailer door, and in comes this giant man, you might know him as Manu, that sits me down and has a good chat to me about, how the scene I was about to do with him would be played, in terms of like what it meant to him, how Andy approached it on the day. It was the scene between Andy and Manu in the Ludus when they were so close to being friends, but not in this life. Yeah, that's just a beautiful scene. And
We could have been brothers in another life.
but not in this life. Yeah. And like who does that? He took his time to sit and really see what I was thinking, see what I was feeling, calm me down, and really sort of reach out and make me already feel like part of the family. Just in my attempt to try and be this impossibly incredible character. And then later on, we'd be sort of waiting for him to set up, and he wanted to get my energy up, so he's like, let's go for a little jog, let's get the blood running and stuff like that, So when you're asking what did Manu do, he's modest enough to say nothing, but the truth is a great deal. And all the time on set, I mean, this guy leads from the front. He's got heart more than you can imagine. And look, I mean, you guys watched the show. He was there the whole time. He was pretty much the only character that was there the entire show. And so in many ways, he's the heartbeat of the show. In so much of what Crixus does. Are you embarrassed yet?
But
yeah.
to answer your question, Donna, those young ladies are fine actresses, and they brought so much that it's great to have excellent people to work off, but in their own right, they have great skills and they have craft, and they did their job very well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, for me, Cynthia's transformation from broken woman in the mines to like death incarnate later on.
She became a good fighter.
Yeah, right. And it looks terrible. There were scenes in there where I was terrified. It's like, but you're so good.
She is lovely.
She's great.
I'd like to ask Lucy a question, and I don't think this has ever been
You
discussed.
have to go step back there behind the Get in line, bro.
Pretty long view, my dude.
Just a quickie, but I just want to throw this out there because little do people understand that Rob Tappert, okay, who was the producer of our show and the producer of Xena back in the day, he went through a roller coaster ride just to keep our show going. It's so tough to keep networks, behind you, especially when all the cards are falling over in the house of cards. And, Lucy, what were some of those moments, because, Lucy's, married with Rob, and what were some of those moments like?
I think he would say, because he has lived through this before, he worked with Van Damme in the 80s and things would come up. I broke my pelvis, so, in the middle of production, or writers were about to go in. Kevin Sorbo had a massive incident, and the show must go on. So you retool, you don't lose any heart, you don't lose any time. They went and wrote Gods of the Arena, which was 6 great hours of television, and he actually didn't miss a beat. He doesn't miss a beat. It's you do what you need to do to keep everybody working, and try to give Andy time to heal and go through treatment, and then we just keep going after that, and that was not to be. So we have our Liam, and that's the way life goes, isn't it?
He's a great boss, though.
He's a great boss.
Questions?
On the subject of casting, the casting on Spartacus was one of the show's really great strengths. You could put basically any two people in a scene and they would have good to amazing chemistry with each other. Where do you guys think screen chemistry comes from, and what are some of the big screen chemistry moments that really struck you on the show?
Wow, that's a good question.
Good question.
Casting.
Magical man.
Casting? Does it always happen? I don't know if it always... I don't know, that's a really good question. Where does chemistry come from? Because sometimes you have chemistry with people. Kevin Smith and I, who played Ares, have fabulous chemistry on screen, and then they'd say cut, and we'd go, no swing, amazing. You know, you do all this big kissing scene, don't feel a thing for you. You know? It's like, love you, mate, but nothing. So screen chemistry and real life chemistry, totally different.
And I'll give you a true little glimpse into something. I worked with Lucy in 1998, 99 on Xena, and I played Mark Antony, and Lucy was pretending to be Cleopatra to save Egypt, and I was a young.
It's time again.
Yeah, but I was a young, fairly inexperienced actor, still trying to find my, calm. I mean, you know, when you first start acting, you're very nervous, and you mightn't do things rationally, and you're trying to find the poise that you need in front of the camera and the relationships with the crew to actually survive in the industry. But I was kind of like, I think I was a bit rude to Lucy back in Xena. She put me in my place, and kind of like, I kind of had to wait several years later. I remember coming back and Rob recasting me. Rob Tappert, who did that, recast me in 30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett, which was my second big break. I mean, this guy is responsible for me being here. I mean, honestly, Rob Tappert was the guy who gave me my acting career.
Yeah, he believed in you.
But then when I came on to Spartacus, and I had to come up with Lucy again and play these incredible scenes, it was like this growth period that I'd sort of been involved with her husband giving me opportunities, but then it was like coming back and trying to be more professional and try to hit my marks with Lucy. And I remember just feeling like it was the proving point. I had to get into a scene with Lucy, and which was perfect, because that was exactly Crixus's kind of thing, And so going into a scene with Lucy, because she just is so alive in her eyes. You ask about chemistry. I mean, you go into a scene with Lucy and you're playing the game at the level, you know what I mean? But thank you, Lucy. Thanks for the lessons in acting. I really appreciated it. Yeah.
Thank you. I've forgotten any of that.
And the lessons in
there you go.
It's an excellent question. And when we work it out, we'll start a production company and make successful films for the rest of our lives.
Hello. I wanted to ask you all, what are some of your most memorable Spartacus moments?
Season 1, Season 2. Season 3 is good.
Seeing him for the first time in the trailer, before he was, because it was such a big thing in our series, bringing on a new Spartacus, and seeing this guy in his trailer. He was young, nervous. His eyes were full of all that emotional stuff that was going to be, good in front of the camera. Once it gets tuned in and all that sort of stuff, but just meeting him and sort of feeling, this is potentially at that stage the guy who's going to end up being in that next role. It was really